Hello, everyone.
For some reason, it always puts me at the top, even though it doesn't matter what time I sign in. I try to wait till the last minute and it still puts me at the top. One of the YouTube videos that's out on the town website, the thumbnail for the actual video is like me doing something weird with my hair. We need to get IT on that burden.
I think the only person we're missing is Javier. K. Paul's not going to be here tonight.
So I didn't hear you. So K. Paul's the only person?
We're just waiting on Javier. K. Paul's going to be absent.
Okay. Susan joining us tonight, or?
I believe so. There's Javier.
Cool. And then we figured out the public forum again for quick muting if necessary.
We do. Eric the administrative side.
Okay.
So,
I'm ready.
So when you're ready, Burton, let me know.
okay, it looks like Javier's just connecting to the audio.
Oh, okay.
Once he's in, we should be ready to go.
Can you hear us, Javier? You're muted right now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So at 5:33 p.m. on the 14th, we'll call the Sunnyvale 4B Economic Development Board meeting to order. All members present except member Cash. We'll open with a public forum. 4B board invites citizens to address the board on any matter, including items on the agenda, except public hearings that are included in the agenda. Comments related to the public hearing will be heard when the specific hearing starts. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes. Unless otherwise required by law, the board is not permitted to take any action or discuss any item not listed on the agenda. All comments need to be professional or you'll be immediately cut off. So I'll hand it over to staff to open up the public forum or to conduct the public forum.
We don't have any attendees.
No attendees or no hands raised?
No attendees or no hands raised.
Okay. Well, we will close the public forum and move on to agenda items. So first item is discuss, consider, and approve the minutes from the June 9, 2020 and June 29, 2020 board meetings.
I reviewed and they looked fine to me.
Me too. Just-
Anybody have anything they wanted to address or change? Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve. Are we doing just the regular meeting or both at the same time?
Both at the same time.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes and special meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, motion made by member Bradford,
I second.
is that Nikki?
Yes, it's Nikki.
Okay. Seconded by member Anthony. All those in favor, please state your name. Wise.
Anthony.
Dyer,
Torres,
Passes unanimously. Move on to item number 2, discuss, consider, and approve the June 2020 financial reporting and related items. Hand that over to member Bradford.
All right, thank you very much. So staff prepared our monthly financials. And our monthly sales tax revenues were $65,851. And of course, this is for June, month end of June. Our expenses for the month were $23,573. And our expenses were routine payroll items, as well as other professional services and previously approved, park maintenance. And it looks like we had some irrigation repair as well. So it doesn't appear that there were any, special projects or any expenses there. So our ending fund balance for the end of June is $3,075,811. And it looks like we're still a little more than 1.2 million ahead of budget. So I like that. I know the budget discussion is a separate agenda item, so I'll let you bring that up next. But as part of the monthly financials, staff included the sales tax comparison as well. It looks like we're pretty running, pretty close to what we did last month and a little bit higher than we did in the previous year. So that's good. We didn't see a huge drop off. Wait, I apologize. Actually, that's right. And again, that assumes a 2-month lag. So we're technically looking at the April sales tax in comparison to April the prior year. And our projects listed and remaining balances, I believe, are pretty much the same as they were last month. It does appear we have $25,000 left in our COVID-19 business incentive budget that has not been allocated.
We've had a couple,
sorry.
we've had a couple more apply, and so that are in review.
Okay. All right. And then it looks like staff also added the grants to the financial information here, the ones that we've applied for and the ones that are in progress. So that was very helpful. Thank you. It looks like we have 2 potential grants that are still being reviewed. One for the Dallas County call for projects, and then the NC TCOG transportation alternatives. I did not have any questions, but we'll open it up to the floor for any questions or discussion items or any additional comments from staff that they would like to make.
Just wondering, what is this NCT COG transformation?
North Central Texas Council of Governments.
Oh, okay.
Eric, will we be able to reapply for Safe Routes to School?
Yeah, when new programs open, we'll be able to reapply, yes.
Okay, so is that an annual grant application or every couple of years?
Usually it's annual, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So the key thing is for that one was, you know, actually owning it.
Right.
And then when we applied for that one, we applied for the entire trail. And now we've broken it down into smaller individual projects instead of the entire trail. So that probably make a big difference on that one next time.
Okay. And then just a comment, the sales tax report that staff has been preparing has been really helpful. I appreciate it. It just helps me to see year over year and month by month what the differences are.
I concur on that one. Any other questions or?
No, good.
That any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve the June 2020 financials?
So moved by Shatter.
Motion made by member Shatter,
I second, Nair.
seconded by member Nair. All those in favor, please state your name. Wise.
Anthony,
Bradford,
Shatter.
Torres,
Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to the next agenda item. Discuss, consider, and approve the fiscal year 2020-2021 proposed budget. Hand that back over to member Bradford.
yeah, so I have been reviewing this against a copy in my files of a previous proposed budget, but I'm realizing I might not be comparing it to the most recent one. However, I did note that this version does include the 25,000 that we discussed at our last regular meeting that we wanted to include in the budget for the downtown development study. That's in the planning line item. And I think that is the primary change here, unless Phyllis wants to weigh in on that to see if I missed anything there.
No, that's correct, Member Bradford. We did go back and add the $25,000 for the downtown development study for next fiscal year. That would be the only change that you're seeing on this version from last month.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for doing that. So, so if we approve this tonight, does it still, does council still vote on this? Because for some reason I was thinking they had already reviewed our proposed budget, but my timeline's probably off.
We did present this budget last night. This item is for the 4B board to approve this proposed budget. It will go back before council in the month of August for final approval and adoption.
Okay, so I listened to part of the council meeting last night, but I missed the part where they reviewed the budget. Did you or anyone note any concerns or questions they brought up when they reviewed this version? Do you know?
They did have a question about the amount of money that we currently have budgeted for incentives, as well as what we had budgeted for the Glacier Park and the regional rails to trails. However, we did reach back out to the council members who had some questions on it, and they were good with us moving forward with presenting this to the 4B board this evening and seeking your approval.
Okay, great. Yeah, I understand there were some things discussed at the meeting last night that with respect to the fire station that may ultimately impact some of our projections for some of our future projects. So we'll just have to figure that out as those come along, I guess. So I don't have anything else to add, Eric. So does anybody else have any questions or comments?
And I'd just like to point out that this assumes we spend 100% of our budget, which normally we don't, but if we were, this is kind of the full picture.
Right, that's a good point. So, so the beginning balance for this proposed budget is at 1.8 million. But as we just discussed on our June financials, we're currently sitting at over 3 million. And, you know, don't anticipate any large project spends between now and the end of the fiscal year unless we have any new incentive requests come through, I would imagine.
We do still have the Vineyard parking lot project.
Good point.
We do anticipate that being completed before the end of the fiscal year.
And closing on the rail, but you know, that's still in process.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Barring any questions, can we get a motion, or do we need a motion to approve? I guess we do. Yes, motion to approve as presented.
I move to approve as presented.
Motion made by member Anthony,
Torres seconds it.
seconded by member Torres. All those in favor, please state your name. Wise.
Anthony?
Bradford.
Torres.
Nair.
Shatter.
Motion passes unanimously. We move on to agenda item number 5. Nope, 4, sorry. Discuss, consider, and approve a professional service agreement with Reservoir Government Solutions for sales tax auditing and recovery services, authorizing the town manager to execute the agreement. Hand that over to Mr. Burton, Mr. Barr.
This item will allow the Reservoir to audit the sales franchise taxes, the state comptroller's reports. Audit should identify any kind of errors in reporting and make sure that any taxes that are due to the town. There's not any cost up front for audit and the services. They only are compensated if they recover fees through the audit. It's based on a percentage base. Their agreement is back up kind of their scope of work and things of that nature. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is it 25% or is it on a scale depending on what they recover?
It's I believe that the franchise utilities, let's see, sales and use tax is 22%, and
I thought I did see
Sorry.
like 39% in some places.
Yep.
yeah, it's
Customer ladder
39%.
implements.
Yeah, it's 39% on the
Yeah, it's on the last page of there.
Right.
There's 39 and 22, but it's not a sliding scale. It's just one of those fixed things.
And we tried to get the length. The term of the agreement is for 12 months, but because of the audit may not. We tried to get everything as contained within 12 months, but in talking with the company, some of the audits may take some time, and that's part of the process. They're going to go through and identify if there's any kind of short-term rentals, things of that nature. They're going to take a look at every business and then verify that against the comptroller's report. So it should be a good deal.
I guess my only other question was, did we have any other companies that were
I
looked
did
at?
review 3 other companies. All of those companies, there were pros and cons to each of them. Those all required money up front, and in some cases, they wanted the money up front. Plus, if you wanted them to audit on a regular basis, a monthly or quarterly basis, there was additional fees.
And then, I'm assuming our 4B attorney has reviewed this and.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we talked about is if there was I did clear it with Jeff before we move forward on anything.
Okay. I guess because the only thing that stands out to me is the definition of any new revenues. So if they identify an error that helps us collect past revenues, then to me, us collecting it properly moving forward, they shouldn't collect on forever. So I was just understanding what that new revenues means. If it's uncollected revenues from the past and that's considered new, great. But there should be some sort of cap on future revenues, not just in perpetuity. So that's where I was.
Yeah, that's the part that we were really trying to get to the 12 months, but it didn't really work out that way. It would be really nice and neat if we could just have an agreement for 12 months, but in most cases, I think it was 22 and 39 months. The percentages and the terms were the same.
Right. And as long as it's within that period, my question is understanding that definition of new, if that ends at the end of the agreement or if it's in perpetuity, so obviously 61% of something we didn't have before is good, but not forever.
Right.
So
It should
in
be
that question, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was saying, barring that question, I think it makes perfect sense, and we should do it. But
I have a couple of comments on it. One was like, I did notice that this is a Chicago-based company. So I think Member Weiss asked the same question, whether we had any others, like, local companies we could do business on this. That was.
So the company is based out of another state, but they do have an office in Tyler.
Oh, okay. And have we done any audits like this in the past? I was wondering, what is the level of errors that we had? What is the amount that we are expecting in this case? Is it $100,000? Is it $500,000? Have we done anything like that? What is the success rate for identifying an audit error and then we collecting, or the overall amount that 69 plus 31 or 39 plus that amount? But do we have any idea how much we are missing out?
Phyllis, do you know if we've done a sales tax audit recently?
To my knowledge, this would be the first that I have seen during my tenure here with the town that we have actually engaged in services for someone to actually perform that audit. So a dollar amount on what could be outstanding would be hard to identify at this point.
Mm.
I'm assuming this is for the, whole town. So this will just be, I guess, this isn't something that 4B necessarily needs to approve since it's really like for the whole town or no?
I went ahead and worded the agenda as approving it, just because it does affect 4B.
And then town council would have to agree, and
I'm not sure if it'll go back to council. It may very well go back.
Because it'll impact the general fund as well, right?
should.
That audit amount, the total amount should give us some kind of an understanding what is that we are missing out. There could be better ways for us to generate that revenue, somehow recoup that. There should be some learning from this, right? Now, are they going to recover $1 million or what is that, right? Now, so my suggestion will be like, we should be able to, if not on this one going forward, at least we should be able to track that as a metrics.
The gentleman that I spoke with, his name's Ted. Ted had indicated that their average recovery is 22,000. That they haven't had very many places where they didn't at least recover that much. Now, it wasn't a guarantee, and it wasn't. He wasn't explicit in saying that's what we're going to recover, but he did indicate that they do have a pretty good success rate at recovering funds. And some of the other companies that I listened to, obviously it was all webinar, Zoom meetings with them. There was some fancy reporting that they gave you access to, but at the end of the day, those systems were the way that you would have to do it is you would do your own audit. You would be the person that contacted the comptroller's office to try to determine if that was a tax-paying entity. And while the reporting and some of the tools were beneficial, you could get into some serious time spent running down the different businesses. And so with this, my personal opinion was that having someone that effectively does not get paid unless they work to recover was a good incentive for this first time around.
Yes, agree with you. And it's not going to be an easy job. It's not going to be an easy job.
No, I've done audits before on trying to find missing commissions that life insurers have not paid on life insurance policies, and it can be a painful process. So if someone else wants to go down that rabbit hole and we get a little piece of the pie, then I don't have a problem with it.
One last question is like, are they just auditing it, or are they going to help in the collection process as well?
It's both.
Okay.
It's audit and recovery.
Okay. Good deal then.
So I guess the question is, if I understand that we can approve it for 4B's use, but to me, it should go to council. And then legal counsel should review, obviously, when you're reading the intellectual property and all that kind of stuff, they say everything belongs to them. Well, I should get a full report of I shouldn't say we should get a full report of the audit so we can see it. I understand their techniques may be intellectual property, but the product they create should belong to us. So just trying to understand that. And just make sure that's the case. The product should be ours. Their software, their tools, all that. Yeah, that's their intellectual property. So I agree with it. Think we should do it. It's just understanding a couple of those finer points of the contract, and they have things in there about how quickly we have to pay them, or they'll charge interest and all that kind of stuff. But understanding the definition of new revenue is important to me. So to me, I would say approve it pending our professional legal review, as well as council's approval and the town's attorney legal review.
Is that a motion or do we need to make a motion?
I will propose that as a motion. I'll make a motion to approve upon legal review by the 4B attorney for further review by town council and the town attorney.
Second.
Motion made by member Wise, seconded by member Bradford. All those in favor, please state your name.
Anthony,
Bradford.
Torres,
Shatter.
Wise, motion passes unanimously. Move on to next item. Item number 5, discuss, consider, and approve a professional service agreement with Globe Site Location Industries LLC for promotional services in an amount not to exceed $3,950, authorizing the town manager to execute the agreement in compliance with section 505.103 of the Texas Local Government Code.
So this item it's essentially a marketing campaign. It's directed towards industrial and commercial businesses. The network that Global Site Location Industries has is essentially site selectors for industrial and commercial development. This is a promotional rate. We're actually getting 12 months of service from this agreement for the price of 6 months. Additionally, we're going to have access to their retail network, which is over 7,000 retail site selectors. Probably the most beneficial thing that comes out of this is we will get an updated commercial and industrial community profile. So there's been several leads that come through. I've talked to different retail consultants as well as industrial and commercial. The numbers on the retail side, I believe I talked to a person last Friday. Those numbers for 2020 just came out in June. So having those updated numbers when we get these leads, when we want to target a potential business, having that updated information would be really beneficial. I know that in the past we've had some, whether it was retail coach or whether it was some of the other industrial numbers, those are 2017, maybe 2018 numbers. So, thought it was a great opportunity to get some new information.
That sounds good. In reading over the Texas Elite 25 marketing campaign in terms of what we get, all sounds good. Did they say anything about the trade show, where they hold them? I'm assuming it's Dallas or Houston or.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff is still up in the air. Pretty much every trade show development thing that I've seen is all switching to virtual.
All on hold or canceled or virtual. Yeah.
Right. I saw today that the Texas Economic Development Group has moved their conference to virtual. So, yeah, I think everything's still in limbo.
I don't think that's that big of a line item, but just curious. So. Neat. Any other questions or thoughts on the service agreement?
And the agreement, looks okay. I just had a quick question on the messaging that we are coming up with. Is it purely targeting industrial and manufacturing companies? The reason why I asked that question is I've been having a couple of initial conversations with smart farming, vertical garden, aeroponics, aquaponics kind of companies to get some interest to our city. There are companies like Aerofarm and things like that. So I was wondering, I wanted to ask that question to Varun, do we have any specific messaging that we can take and discuss with them, right? So just, maybe we could take that offline as well.
So this one in particular, for me, it's been a learning experience. I've been searching for this marketing research company that handles everything that we could imagine, and I haven't found it yet. Everybody has their own industry specific, whether it's retail, whether it's commercial, whether it's industrial. And so this was commercial and industrial. Like I said, I've been working on the retail side of things because really it's hard to pitch these things to people if you don't have updated data. And so I'm trying to go through all of our different industries and get solid information that we know when it goes out, it's not 2 years old. But that other industry that you're talking about, I can look into that and see if there's specifics for that market too.
It sounds like that would fall into commercial, even though it's
agriculture, but yeah, it should fall into.
But it's
commercial agriculture, yes.
A neat niche market or new way to farm. Maybe that's what they're.
The other good thing about this company is they do have an office in Dallas, and they have a person within the company. I think it's in there where it's probably on a different piece of paper. It may be in that packet, but basically they will do an audit on our website and let us know some things that we can do to improve it.
Which we know we want to do, so that's helpful.
Right.
Yeah, and then the 6 months of WIDA, I guess, however you say it, WIDA retail network. That's just access to that network for us to do our own research and stuff. Is that correct?
It is. It should give us, you know, that's going to give us access to the things that, in terms of the different retailers, what their minimum requirements are, whether it's population or, you know, traffic counts, things of that nature.
Right. So again, I was just clarifying. So it's access to that information, but the support that they're providing over the 12 months is mostly on the commercial industrial,
Yes, sir. This one is. Yes, sir.
which I don't recall us doing a whole lot on that in the past because our focus has been so much on retail. So
Yeah, and the
in terms of
commercial,
research,
I would imagine commercial and industrial companies are going to be looking for different specs than retail companies would. So
right.
I
We
think
got a
it-
lot of, sorry.
no, I was just saying that, you know, I think it's a very good point that you make, Burton, that we've kind of focused on like the all-encompassing packages in the past and haven't got very far. So I think doing these more targeted approaches is a good way to do it. So on this, I guess I'm a little confused as to how it works though. I was reading through the packet on the site selection piece. So are they just sort of giving us the profile, and then once they do their research, they would give us a community profile, and then if they have a lead to a potential project, then how do they connect back to us for actually looking at what land is available for site selection?
So we have, with this program, we have an actual project coordinator that helps us. You know, the marketing side, just the Texas Elite 25, that program, it basically puts us into the short stack in terms of contacts, because we're a part of their, you know, we're a part of their network. In terms of the land that's available, I've been working on an inventory of all of the properties that we have, whether it's industrial, commercial, office space. So I have a pretty good idea that when these leads come in, they get pretty specific in terms of what they're looking for. If it's how many square foot of existing, if it's just raw land. And so this company, I guess for the past 3 weeks or 3 weeks to a month, every week they have a different vendor that in most cases is someone that's looking to relocate to Texas. And so I log in, I sit there, I listen. If it's something that applies, that could apply to Sunnyvale and we meet that criteria, then I keep listening. If it's something that, you know, obviously we don't have that kind of space. In some cases, they're looking for 500,000 square foot of warehouse storage with, 18-foot garage doors. So in those cases, that's typically when I sign off. In terms of, that's where the lead generation comes in. But ultimately, I think it would be up to me to submit for the individual project. Because normally they have.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, normally they have a spreadsheet of things that they're interested in, different incentive packages that might be on the table. It is pretty specific.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't going to cause like 10,000 new emails to just be dumped in your inbox and create more work for you. But if you feel like it would be beneficial to you in a targeted approach, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think the longer that I do this, and the different sides of things, you know, like you said earlier, the industrial side is at a completely different end of town than, not all of the retail and the commercial, but, you know, the numbers for, say, Beltline, Town East, Trip, those numbers are, you know, really different than down there in the industrial park.
Yeah, I'm sure like all of you agree that we cannot encourage all different type of industries and businesses into our city, you know, because, and I think our profile should reflect that going forward, you know, what are the type of businesses that we can afford and we can, you know, encourage. I remember last year when Amazon announced that they're going to do a second headquarters, more than 100 cities came up with their own profiles, and one of them went viral. That was from Little Rock. That is where I came from. They created a campaign very specifically saying, "Thank you, Amazon. We don't need you guys here." And that went viral. That created a lot of smaller, medium-sized businesses to come into, you know, start into that town and also to the state of Arkansas. So, you know, I'm not talking that we are Little Rock or Arkansas, but, you know, we have our own unique characteristics, which I think we should promote in our going, you know, materials and things like that, so that we could look at what are the type of businesses we need and things like that. Just, you know, it may not be relevant today here, but I think I just wanted to put it out there.
Neat. That's a good point. Well, barring any other questions, Terry said she had to step away, but voted yes. So can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Choose Texas proposal for $3,950.
A second.
That Nikki?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I wasn't looking. So motion made by member Bradford, seconded by member Anthony. All those in favor, please state your name. Wise.
Anthony.
Bradford.
Torres,
Shatter,
Motion passes unanimously. Move on to item number 6, update on projects. So as I mentioned earlier, we had a couple of new applications come in the last week, which are under review, but let Burton go over that.
Yeah, so thus far, we're still at 9 applicants. 6 have been funded. 2 of them, we requested additional information that we haven't received, and then 1 is still just being reviewed. I've been watching quite a few webinars with the governor's office, and July the 6th, they did reopen the PPP program through the SBA, and that's going to go until August the 8th. They're putting out more and more information about more forgivable loan programs. And I know member Shatter sent me a thing last week for another webinar that I'm ready to watch that. It's just trying to take in as much information as possible. When we do get the calls from local businesses, you know, trying to have the information to share. I still, you know, different thoughts on why we haven't had more participation in the program, have funds available. But I do believe a lot of people got in with the SBA program early.
I've referred several businesses, and what I'm hearing from some of them is that they want to save the money for people that need it more than they do. So, which is very nice.
Yep.
This is sort of Off topic, but on topic as well. Do we know of any businesses in Sunnyvale that have had to close? That did not know about this opportunity possibly?
I don't know that any have closed, weren't aware of the program. It's been pretty, we've marketed this pretty good in terms of going out. I know that our public relations person, Erica, has been pushing it out as well. I know Terry shared it at the chamber. In terms of businesses that, you know, I know that there was a business that went out of business, but I'm not sure if it was related to COVID-19 or if there were other factors.
Gotcha.
Okay, we'll move on to Glacier property unless anybody has any other questions on the incentive program.
Well, I have one question. I'm not sure if you can share this publicly, but I'd like to know like who's been approved, who's pending, if that's an email you can send to us, just so I know who to reach back out to that I've been trying to get to do an application.
You go back in the agenda, back to the finance section, it has the list of, so.
Well, that'll give you the
Okay.
list of the ones that have been paid out, but it doesn't include the ones that are pending review, I don't think.
That's true.
Member Shatter, I can send that out to the group, or I can send it out to you, however you all would like.
I would like to receive it. It depends on the rest.
Yeah, I think sending it to the group would be beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yep.
All right, I'll get that sent out to y'all. Any other questions on that one?
Just a comment on that. I know that now that we have kind of a second wave coming out and a lot more concerns about COVID-19 still in the air. So are we planning to do anything more about this? I know that we only have a few, we still have a little bit of fund available. So are we trying to figure out any other ways we can, evaluate this and probably use that for maybe create awareness or getting things better, or is there any other thoughts on that aspect?
back when we voted on this, we discussed different numbers and settled at the 50, but if necessary, we discussed being able to go back and increase. But at the same time, we'd still be open to seeing if there's something better if this didn't work out as well as it needed to for the people that needed it, so.
I can't remember if we have a timeline on it. Like, does it expire at some point?
The existing funding just expires when the funding is exhausted.
Okay.
I have talked to some businesses over the last few months. Some of them didn't necessarily want money, but they wanted marketing and things of that nature. And that was primarily back when a lot of the businesses were closed. And in terms of reaching out to them and trying to really determine what does that look like, do we have the means to be a marketing group? I'm not sure. I did have some conversations early on with a gentleman that was interested in coming in and doing some analysis on the local businesses. And I do have, there's still a proposal out there that I could bring back to you all if this continues and if it's something that y'all are interested in, I can bring that to a future meeting. I was unsure in terms of the scope. I was unsure if the return on the investment was worth it. If
So-
it wasn't gonna,
I was going to say, you mentioned marketing. I mean, that gets me thinking in terms of, how many people or how many businesses stated that? And if we were to hire a marketing firm to market Sunnyvale businesses, or to help, and I don't know what it would be, website blast or whatever it is, Facebook, the different marketing companies can integrate all sorts of those tools. If we don't use the full 50,000, but have X amount left, and there's companies that can help do that, if that's beneficial, or if we decide to do something else, I don't know, but that does intrigue me because it's a way to help Sunnyvale businesses that don't want necessarily a couple grand or 5,000 or whatever it is.
right.
Still helping the economics of Sunnyvale and Sunnyvale businesses. I know the chamber does that through chamber membership, but or working with the chamber maybe is another good way to do that. Encourage.
Yeah,
people.
we'd be happy to do that. We've actually been doing a weekly newsletter that's called the Sunnyvale Scoop, and we're actually reaching out to businesses that aren't members and asking them if they have a flyer or anything they want us to include, and that's going out by email and on Facebook. And so we're trying to help all the businesses, even those that aren't chamber members, as far as marketing.
So a partnership with them could benefit all businesses of Sunnyvale and hopefully lead them as they continue to succeed to join the chamber, but help Sunnyvale and help them.
I think that marketing the businesses in Sunnyvale, helping market them as a group is a good idea, especially long-term as we get more businesses here that would be attractive to people in the surrounding areas to come in and support, like the restaurants. Right now, though, it's kind of hard to market anything because we don't know if we're all going to be open in a month or what the status of businesses is going to be. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around how we would market them right now. It would help to know what kind of businesses were requesting that, though. Maybe we need to just plan on having this be a future agenda item, just a standing agenda item for the next several months.
I think that's a good idea, Nikki.
Yeah, because it changes every few weeks.
Right. That's why it's hard to plan to market anything, because 4 weeks from now will likely look very different from the situation that we're in at the moment.
Well, even when we came up with the incentive program, we didn't really know, it was like, is this the right way to do it or not? And we felt like we needed to do something, or we believed we needed to do something. So as we learn more, and then you get feedback from businesses, you can start shifting and changing to meet the needs better.
Right. And as this goes on, businesses that were okay without an incentive earlier in the timing may need help later. So we might need to look at increasing funding later if it continues the way it has been.
And I do think that's why I was hesitant to bring forth that proposal, because it was, it was pretty limited in terms of we were going to get some data for right this minute. But when the cases started going up and and obviously we started going in a different direction from what we thought we were moving in. I just, there was a cost for that, to get that information on how to help, and I felt like let's let things somewhat stabilize if they're going to, and then maybe revisit it.
I have an idea, and I don't know if this is the kind of marketing that companies are looking for, but I agree with all the comments so far, and especially getting thoughts from, or more specifics from the businesses who requested marketing to get a better understanding of what, like Nikki, I believe it was Nikki said, which ones are requesting it, and then what type of marketing are they looking for? Because I'm thinking or wondering if we could work with some local Sunnyvale residents who want to help in the current situation, who may have some type of graphic design experience and maybe donate their services, and we could work in tandem with them to even put out a mailer that goes to a certain radius with some basic company information, knowing that we can't get too specific because of all the unknowns, but at least something. And I understand Terry said that the chamber is sending out the emails, but we have a lot of residents who still look for things in their mailbox. And
the way I look at this is like, since we are thinking about bringing new businesses in town and things like that. So if we can make a bold statement, say, think about after a year, we look back and we say, like, we make a bold statement saying that with the COVID impact, we have 0 business closures in the city of Sunnyvale. We helped all the businesses to survive and then come back up and excel, right? So if we all should be able to go back and very proudly say that is going to be very good for our city, right? And I think that is what we are doing. And I think we should do, we are doing a lot of things right now, and we should promote that view in front of everyone, which is important. It may not be just about giving $2,000 to a small business, but there is that confidence that we can give, which will be helpful as well going forward.
If you haven't, excuse me, if you haven't liked the Sunnyvale Facebook page, if you can please do that and then follow it, because like I said, we're sending stuff out every Monday anyway. Sometimes, other times, we've got a good membership director that's doing all that, but just so you kind of know what we're doing. And a lot of the information on the weekly newsletter that we get is from companies that aren't necessarily chamber members. We're just telling everybody right now we want to help. We'll do whatever we can and try to get flyers out on what they're doing, what they need, etc.
Great. Sure.
well, then let's get some more specifics on those businesses who requested the marketing, and then put it on the next agenda, like what was suggested. But I think we definitely can keep the conversation going
Right.
next time, next meeting.
Yeah, so basically expand the business incentive line item to include marketing and other ideas and whatever we can do to improve it, as opposed to just discussing how many people have applied. Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Then we'll move on to Glacier.
So the Glacier property, we met with Half Associates, the consultant, a gentleman named Michael Wilson. Met with them on June the 30th. Discussed some of the design features with the new barn. There was discussion about, it was pretty initial in terms of the basic necessities. They what was discussed was 16 12 by 12 stalls. There was also going to be some run-in type shelters out in the pasture on the property. 2 tack rooms, feed storage, an office with an ADA restroom, a small storage room, outdoor wash rack with water, sanitary sewer. Some of the other elements were hay storage, concrete pad for a dumpster for waste management. We did talk a little about the fencing around the parking lot, and that was essentially, there were some more specifics that they were going to be working on in terms of the design, the consultant that they were going to be using. And the goal would be to have that concept plan with the things that we discussed, to meet with the Glazier Committee. I know that at last night's council meeting, I believe that item was tabled for bringing that group back together, but I'm fairly certain it's on the next agenda, on the next town council meeting.
So it's been about a month, I guess, when that email went out with various pictures of potential designs, you know, external look. Did they narrow that down to 2 or 3?
Yeah, yes, I believe the picture was the one that I think got quite a bit of feedback. Was I don't know, the picture was Barn 5, if you got that email with all those pictures.
I don't even know exactly what it was, but did it get narrowed down to where they're focusing on like a top 2 design?
It did.
Okay, cool. And then my other question is, and Sarah kind of alluded to it earlier, you know, the conversations going around between Glazier and Jobson as potential fire station locations. And, you know, I'm no expert in that realm, but to me, either one could work. And then we just have to work hand in hand to figure out how it works. So if it ended up being Glazier, you know, how would that impact the horse park plan?
Well, what I heard last night in listening to the council meeting.
To talk about tonight.
Yeah, what I heard at the council meeting last night is that if they do move forward with choosing Glazier for the site of the firehouse, that they would they would get the design group from the firehouse together with our design group for the barn and basically redo the concept for the whole thing, to meet both needs.
Yeah.
So it all looks.
And it could work potentially with.
Consistent.
Yeah. Neat.
Well,
Okay.
in previous committee meetings, we had discussed, and I guess town council either wasn't aware or doesn't remember, but we had discussed that putting the fire station there would not be a great fit with horses. You know, just sirens and things like that's not a good fit with the animals, but I guess we cross that bridge when we come to it.
Well, someone asked that question last night at the meeting, and there was some feedback that it shouldn't be a problem. So I'll just leave it at that. But they tabled the whole thing and are going to relook at other site availability for the firehouse. And so I wouldn't imagine we would move any further on Glazier until they make that decision.
Right.
On
Okay.
design, on design or anything. That's what it sounded like to me.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, that being the case, I guess then we basically move on to Jobson.
I'm glad you mentioned the barn pictures, though. I somehow missed that email, and now I found it. And yeah, those are cool looking.
Yeah. Yeah, I sent her I sent some pictures in of the fire station that's being built in another nearby city that also looked neat, but had a different design. But yeah, there's lots of good choices in that list. I sent in the fire station picture saying I thought it would look like a neat horse barn, not a fire station, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so on to Jobson.
So Jobson, I'm still working on the original bids that I got sometime back. I need to get those updated. We need a few more bids for the concrete. That was one of those items that I believe last month we talked about it. Originally it was a supplemental request, but we were going to go ahead and do it in this fiscal year. So once I get those quotes updated, y'all will be seeing that come back to y'all depending on the dollar amount for approval.
And that's for the batting cages, right?
Yes.
Okay. So are we kind of in the same situation where we need to hold off on moving forward until we hear about the fire station? Or is that going to have less of an impact?
I don't think that would have an impact on the fire station if it was there, because it's, you know, the batting cage area is already existing.
Oh, that's right. We're just improving it.
Right.
Okay.
And that's all I had for Jobson.
Okay. And on to rails to trails, and I'll, address this. So it's the Luminate is still in process. Our modified contract was approved and it's implemented on both sides. So they're still in the process of working with Encore to get the blanket easement removed. And then there's a couple of open items on the survey that they're still working to get done. I read the email communications. The primary communication is Susan and Burton. But Luminate is, from what it sounded like, doing their best and working aggressively to get it through, and admitted that, they're a little upset with the delay in things, but, COVID didn't help. But they're actively pursuing the open items so we can move this forward as quickly as possible. And they believe it'll move forward with all those items cleared up in the near future. So.
Yeah, Eric, I looked at that survey that Susan sent around. What does that mean? What am I supposed to be looking for on that? What are they, what's holding up the survey, I guess? Because it looks like.
There was a couple of properties that had some encroachments on it.
Okay.
That they're having to clear the encroachments. And then there was a few people that said they had agreements that nobody knows about. So, trying to go through it properly and friendly and then set us up for success once the transition takes place.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else on that one, Burton?
I didn't have anything.
Okay, so then on to Vineyard Park.
So we held the pre-construction meeting on June the 30th with Reliable Paving. The way it looks, the contractor's plans to start working at the end of this month. It's probably a 2 to 3 week project, and we've still got to do a walkthrough with fire and the library, because in order to get this project completed, we agreed to let them shut the parking lot down entirely. The plan is to try to get it completed before, if soccer season starts back up, we'd have all of this done before they would start practicing on a regular basis. But just want to meet with the library and the fire folks to make sure we're not going to have any traffic issues with equipment over there while they're working. So, looking forward to getting that project completed. It's definitely needs to be replaced over there. Any questions on that one?
Okay, then on to the Parks Master Plan.
So the Parks Master Plan, MHS, our consultant, they've been working on all the maps for floodplain, the current development mapping, all of the existing park locations, things of that nature. I was able to get some updated maps from Rashad and Development Services that I was able to send on to them to help them. And our survey and our postcards, they've sent drafts and they've been reviewed. Didn't have too many changes to it. And right now we're just finalizing a mailing list of residents, working with utility billing and our public relations coordinator. And as soon as we get the finalized list and get that sent to them, they're going to start pushing those postcards out. Right now, the postcard is, it's basically yellow cardstock with text on it. It's not real, I mean, I guess it is flashy because it's bright yellow, but it's directing people to the website. Got to coordinate with our library as well. That was our alternative place for if people didn't have computer access. They do have, with COVID-19, they do have numbers on the amount of people we can have in the library at once. So I need to work that out with the library director. And then we were going to have paper copies of the survey here at Town Hall. So I would imagine that those surveys would be going out, within the next week or so.
Can we get a copy of the survey just to know what's on it?
Sure. I can send you all the draft. It's 15 to 16 questions. We talked a little bit. I talked to Hunter, our consultant. It's trying to find the right balance of getting as much information as we can without the process taking too long, that people would lose interest and just start clicking. So there are fields on there that people can have comments that they can enter in. So it's not just multiple choice on everything. There are places that hopefully, opinions can be offered up to.
Good.
So what's the deadline that we're putting on there to return the survey?
We don't have one right now. Do you all have a preference?
Well, I was just thinking of the timing that we send it, because it sounds like we're going to be sending that out and telling people they can go to the library right when we're doing the Vineyard Park parking lot construction, where the parking lot's going to be closed. Maybe I realize it's two separate parking lots, but I don't know if that's going to be a problem.
Well,
Or they could do the paper one at the town hall. So
it'll be a link that the postcard's directing people to go online or on the town's website.
Right, I'm just saying, if you have several people who show up intending to use a computer at the library and they can't get in the library parking lot, I just want to make sure they have enough time to come back another day and complete the survey. I mean, I would think we would want a deadline though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I'd want to know when it's going out first, but would it be 30 days initially? Didn't they have a recommendation for that anyways?
it's usually about 3 weeks.
I'm just thinking back, again, I don't have my notes right in front of me, but they gave us kind of a timeline of if we did the first one and only got X much response, then we would have a time to do a second round, or so I thought they had some of that built in, but I would want to put that deadline on the postcard.
Well, school starts August 18th, and you're probably not going to get any survey responses after then from most of the parents with children. So you may want to put August 14th as the deadline. That's a month from today. I don't know if that's enough time, considering how much time you're mailing it out. If you don't do August 14th, I mean, you could push it to the end of August to allow for the postcards to be printed and mailed.
Yeah, one of the other things we're still trying to figure out is, the community engagement side. The survey is one aspect, but I've been talking to Hunter to see if we're going to try to set up the way it was supposed to go is we were going to have some actual town hall meeting events for people that didn't really want to do the survey or felt better with an in-person discussion. Not sure how all that's going to work with our timeline with COVID-19. So
Yeah, the two conference things that the school did yesterday, I was on the one in the evening, and something like that actually may work, where it's once we get the results back, it would be something Burton, you probably weren't on it, you don't have kids in Sunnyvale School, so I don't know if anybody else that was on that thinks maybe that type of a system might work.
I was on it too. I was thinking about that. The other website where you went in and people posted questions and then you could rank them, and it helped pull topics that more people were interested in up to the top so they could be addressed in the meeting. I thought that system was interesting.
Yeah, and that's where I was following the survey, potentially using that type of a tool for a period of time to.
What it was called.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can get with Emily White on that if we need to get the resources on how to create something like that. I would just be curious, so we have the 15 or so questions defined in the survey. What are we looking for the in-person meetings to tell us? Or are we looking to take the results from those 15 questions and try to narrow them down further? What's the purpose, I think?
I remembering the last go round of these public get-togethers was once we kind of narrowed things and had a certain range, it was like presenting thoughts and ideas, and people were able to give their thumbs up, thumbs down, direct feedback. Is that correct, Burton?
yes, the other side of it was it was really to get the complete community input. There may be folks that don't like dealing with computers, that would rather deal with face-to-face town hall meetings, things of that nature. it was just really trying to make it accessible to have your opinion heard from all the different demographics within the community.
So actually trying to capture people who maybe didn't respond to the survey is what it sounds like.
Correct.
So they might not be interested in this additional think tank engine that we experienced last night, which is pretty cool. It was fun.
neat. I'm curious to see what what comes out of it, you know, but
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we would have more participation. I mean, when we've had the town hall meetings, we always have such low turnout for our topics. It's not like the school district that has a big turnout. But maybe if we did have a Zoom sort of meeting set up with a presentation and then the opportunity to type in questions or at least vote on questions other people have included, maybe we would have better feedback and more participation. It'd be worth a try, I think.
yeah, especially if we can't do the real.
Right. I think some people think it's easier, you know, just to hop on to
In-person, or do
Zoom,
both if possible, but
get dressed and put on pants and go down to town hall. So,
Well, another option, if you're really looking to give people an opportunity to respond without having to do it digitally, we could literally have poster boards printed out with the 15 questions on them, and they can rank, you know, we've used stickers before, we've used other tools for people to be able to rank like their top, what have you, and then they could, you're already going to have the paper copy there. So I don't know. We can try to get creative.
yeah, so I'd like to see the survey, and it sounds like the postcard will be ready to go fairly quick. You said next week or something? But then identify whatever the deadline is. So is it Labor Day? Is it, like you said, the 14th, you know, to try to get them in quicker? But I would say at least 3 weeks from the date that the postcard goes out, but no more than the end of the month or Labor Day weekend at the max.
I like the 3-week deadline just simply because anything outside of that's probably going to get tossed in the trash. The postcard anyways.
Right. And that probably ties in line with, again, whatever it is, it needs to tie in line with their, you know, moving timeline that they already presented us.
And we'll certainly advertise it on our website. We'll advertise it on social media, things of that nature too. We'll put that in the blast that goes out. So
We could probably get some inexpensive plastic signs made that we could stick up at the various parks in town, because they're all getting used pretty heavily.
yeah, I like that idea, promoting it in the parks themselves.
And if the school allowed us to do it, but again, I don't know what the rules are on posting anything on school property, but
Well, I bet we could get them to include a link in the e-alert from the school district.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it makes sense, because we are discussing, you know, ways we can work together for the trails and all that stuff, so it would make sense.
yeah, if you send me the link, Burton, I can get it over to Emily at the school. Sorry, I just volunteered her for something on a live meeting. It's okay, she's used to it.
We can discuss it with them, and if they approve, they will publish.
Yes, thank you for adding the fluff, Eric.
Is their meeting at this exact same time for the school board meeting?
Yeah,
I can do a chamber email blast too, if that helps.
That'd be great.
yeah.
If you want to send it to me too, Burton.
I think the more ways we can send it out, the better, and the more ways people can respond, the better. Just get as much participation as possible and hit as many people in town as we can.
And I'm assuming it'll be posted in the news flash and on just our various Facebook pages, so we can then in turn share them to our Facebook, friends as well, right?
That's correct.
Okey-doke. Anything else on the Parks Master Plan?
I believe that was it.
The next items, discuss future agenda items. I think we did most of that, but anybody have any? I like the ideas on the business incentive, kind of thinking that through as a ever-changing thing, so.
I have one. We haven't gotten an update on the Provident property in a long time. So if there's any new information that can be shared on status of, businesses that we've already worked with, who have a plan to put retail or restaurants there, or any new ones that are going in, that would be nice to know.
We did approve the refund, or the whatever you want to call it, helping offset the cost of the water line and stuff, so. They should have been happy about that, so hopefully they can provide some good news back to us as well. One other thought I had back to the, not necessarily business incentive, but watching the news, there was some communities around the Metroplex that did a mask program where they sourced masks and then gave them out to their local businesses. That could be a potential thing that we could do, whether, you buy the bulk medical masks, or if we wanted to even get Sunnyvale branded stuff, they're actually pretty inexpensive from local manufacturers. Obviously, the medical ones are cheaper because you can use them and throw them away, but that could potentially be another way to help the local businesses, since the mask mandates are in place, and hopefully everybody's wearing them. I still see some that don't, even when you're in places with signs everywhere, but.
There could be a considerable amount of delay in getting some of those masks secured. It's not, if you're trying to secure them in bulk, it's not easy to come by anymore.
Yeah, I can't remember which town it was, but again, there was a couple of towns recently that did it, and they got really good press and the businesses that showed up taking the donation, saying, hey, this is a couple $100 I saved that, or restaurants or other places. And I hear what you're saying, but like the other day, I'm at Costco and they had pallets of masks, so. And then the local businesses that are here that make the shirts for the Booster Club and all that, they're selling masks, and their cheap ones are a couple of bucks a piece, and their expensive ones are $10 a piece, and you can get them turned around in literally a few days. You just provide
There's some
digital.
Sunnyvale groups selling them.
Yeah. But then there's local manufacturers that if you have your business logo, you can send it to them and they'll have you, 500 of them within a few days. And they have the inexpensive ones, or they have when I say inexpensive, a couple dollars a mask or $1 a mask, up to, $10 a mask. So for the nicer, more comfortable ones, but it's just.
There could be opportunities where a large corporation may be able to sponsor us,
Right.
something like that. So we should look at. I've seen like 7-Eleven, for example, from their HQ. They, I think, sponsor like a couple of million masks and send across United States, right? So there could be opportunities that we all can look at and secure some.
Good point. Anything else?
No. We are good.
Well, thank you all for being here. Nikki, good to see you again. So sorry to hear for your family.
Thank you.
Susan, hopefully same for her. Again, thank you all for being here tonight, and we will adjourn.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you all.
everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Night.